I'm here with Samuel Adams, and we're about to do the Boston Tea Party.
Quite particular about starting on time, so hopefully it won't be too much longer now. But I'm going to go see if I can locate Mr. Francis. Francis!
So I dumped all the tea off our ship, and now I'm drinking some tea. Redcoats are going to be angry.
You can, of course, throw more bits of tea over the side. Document your companion's treason.
It's always the more famous cousin,
Yeah,
John Adams.
John Adams.
Against the Old South Meeting House, because it was the place of many an important meeting before our War of Independence.
Before you can make your opinions heard! It won't have to our posterity any good if we merely sit here in silence, now does it? So please, allow me to explain just how it is we conduct ourselves within these Boston town meetings.
There were meetings here regularly, and on the very night that the tea was thrown into the harbor, the destruction of the tea as we call it in my time.
Scheduled for the 2:15 town meeting house, you are now called upon to meet over in the West Meeting House, wherein we will discuss the fate of that most pernicious weed.
Good day, friends. Welcome in. Do feel free to find a seat.
We are currently awaiting the return of Mr. Francis Roche. He's one of the partial owners of that ship, the Dartmouth, which was the first of the three vessels to arrive. And he's been sent to obtain the governor's word as to what's to be done with that tea. As the governor, he's the only one that can give us the express permission to send those vessels back to England without offloading that cargo. Thanks, you money. Well, good day, friends. Where are we traveling from?
St. Augustine, Florida.
Oh, Spanish territory is marvelous. Well, we do have here, let's see, Mr. Benjamin Eads. You're the publisher of the Boston Gazette newspaper here in town. And it is to my understanding that it was your broadsides or the different posters that you see scattered about that called us here to Old South rather than the usual meeting place of Faneuil Hall. So thank you for your service, my friend. And Mr. James Foster Conde, you and I were in Hancock's Cadets together. It's a small little militia group here in town. We got to wear the nice fancy red coats, but we weren't actually red coats. It's
Okay,
sort of a
here.
different thing. Yes, you must also remember how we were forcibly expelled from that little organization as we said some things to a customs official that I cannot repeat within a house of God.
Yeah, I remember.
Yes, but thank you very much for joining us, friends. Yes, I did fear it may come to this. As my father says, friends, you never can trust a roach. Now, I never have led all 1, 2, 3, yes, all 5,000 of you over at the North End caucus before, but really, my friends, I'm going to need you all to settle down, as I can barely hear myself over the roar of this loud, angry mob.
To discuss yet another crisis forced upon us by Parliament, supposedly on behalf of our monarch, King George III. Now, out in Boston Harbor are three ships, the Eleanor, the Dartmouth, and the Brig Beaver, and their holds are bursting with 340 chests combined of East India Company tea. Under the law, each of these vessels has 20 days upon arrival to unload its cargo and pay the duty, or the tax on the tea. And tomorrow is the 20th day for the ship Dartmouth, making this body of the people all the more important. For this is your final chance to affect these events in our favor. Earlier this day, it was requested that the Dartmouth's owner, a man by the name of Francis Roche, obtain word from our, well, shall we call him our Steve Royal Governor, Thomas Hutchinson. Indeed, a man who abandoned the cause of the people long ago. And Lord Grenville saw fit to tax our letters, our newspapers, and all of our printed documents under the Stamp Act. Now, many were outraged by the Stamp Act, and many took to the streets. If ever there was a debt to be paid, I say we did so at the expense of blood, and good New England blood. And now their greedy eyes have turned to our tea. If Lord North wishes to force a 3 penny per pound tax on tea to signify the supremacy of Parliament, and its supposed right to tax the colonies, well, then I say that we have a right to demand representation there. Do we not? Cargo 1215, our charter of 1691 are the very founts of our British liberties. It appears the governor is willing to grant anything consistent with the laws and his duty to the king.
Wait, really?
But orders that the vessels cannot leave unless the cargo is unloaded as the law demands. And what say all of you to this?
Finally, with no resolution, we resolved that the tea would not be landed, and to end the meeting, my second cousin, whom you mentioned, Samuel Adams, announced that there was nothing more that this meeting can do to save the country.
The governor refuses to send this tea back to England. He has refused every petition, every course and recourse to an amicable solution. And dare I say it, but now he has forced our hand. I believe the time has come for you, the people of Boston, to decide what to do next.
Yes!
Which is why I now turn to you, Mr. Grant.
Yes, wait, what?
Yes, you've done an admirable job leading this meeting today, sir, and I would like to hear you.
For the king's tea!
So we have a mighty mob on our hands this night. But I must give you all a word of warning. If you destroy the tea, you may be subject to arrest.
Oh, right, there
Our
is.
families and those who harbor us will be subject to the fullest penalties of the law if we are caught. Therefore, we must do our best to conceal our identities this night.
How might we do that, sir?
Cloaks and blankets will suffice.
And men thinly disguised as Mohawk Indians made their way to Griffin's Wharf and threw the tea into the harbor, destroying it.
Now rally, patriots! Huzzah!
Boston Harbor will be a teapot tonight.
Made their way to Griffin's Wharf and threw the tea into the harbor, destroying it, which had major repercussions.
Especially under such a fearsome leader. And, well, I want to make sure that we're all here for the right reason. So I'm going to ask you these questions 3. Now, if you are here to destroy the detested tea, say aye! Aye! If you are here to cast off the yoke of parliamentary tyranny, say aye! Aye! And if you are here to be captured and arrested for treason, say aye!
What?
Oh, I know, it was rather tricky of me, my dears, but, well, this was a test, and do any of you happen to know what the punishment is for treason if we're caught?
Death.
Death by hanging. Well, you'll be arrested, you'll hang, and then you'll die. Yes, as a fate I do not wish for myself, least alone any of you fine folk. But I say we should begin, say, for a few words of warning. Just off the coast, about 500 yards to the east lie and wait 3 British warships. But don't bother looking, my dears. It's dark and stormy, you're not going to see them. But trust me, they're there. They're the active Captain and Kingfisher, all of it combined of over 100 cannon, could easily level this wharf if they so choose. But they will not fire upon us unless we try and leave with the tea still on board. We're not planning to sail away with the tea, are we? No, we're going to offload it. Over this side! Yay! It also means this will be your only opportunity to view the front of the vessel. Now this here, we call it the forecastle, or the forecastle. Easy to remember because it's where the folks sleep. A crew of about 8 to 10 men will be sharing these bunks here. The vessel. That there is called the captain's quarters, where the captain and first mate would live. All of us here on the starboard side, we're just going to follow your friend's port side so you can view the front of the vessel. Now the brig beaver here, she is 90 feet in length, from bow to stern. 110 to the bowsprit. She's got a beam of 24 feet. She arrived just last night. Some of her crew members and some of the stuff here on board was thought to have carried smallpox.
Topside, friends, to use this opportunity to explore about the upper decks of the vessel.
So, for all intents and purposes, it was the last resort. But it all began here.
You had to do what
on
you
that
had to
night.
do.
I mean, there were a number of things that happened before, but the last straw was here when we
That's
voted that the tea should not be
That's
landed.
when you said enough is enough.
Indeed. Not just any tea, East India tea. And East India Company is an old company. They'd gotten their charter from Queen Elizabeth. They'd settled in Bengal, section of India. They had created a tea trade with China. The men had become very wealthy. The people of India did not become wealthy, but those who ran the company did. There was much drought, starvation, flooding, and they would return home wealthy. And their final mistake was they bought too much tea to sell.
You can, of course, throw more bits of tea over the side, document your companion's treason. We are sorely lacking the apprentices to send over the side at the minute, so we will request that if you do throw a chest, please do haul it back up again. Counterintuitive, but it does build character, I swear. I don't know how to feel about that, to be honest.
That felt good.
As there in the bilge pumps, these ships were designed to take on a little bit of water, which would help the wood boards swell up and plug any gaps they might be made. That red building there is the cook shack. It's called the meat hog,
The galley.
fish soup, pickled vegetables. I might have to look into that. Right, my friends, now comes the most important part of communicating. So, all shore dates going ashore. Please to follow me right this way, patriots. History waits for no man nor being.
There's a chicken right there. He's all by himself.
I would also like to point out this small strip of land here, as that is known as Boston Neck, and in my day, that is the only land route in and out of Boston town. We do not have any bridges, so for those of you familiar with Mr. Paul Revere's most famous ride, he does explain what if by land and...
2 if by sea.
Oh good, we have done our homework, yes. So that route there is your 1 if by land, whereas the surrounding area, your 2 if by sea, a much wider range to cover. It was simply known as the Lake Transaction on Griffin's Wharf. It's not until Mr. Wyatt's account that we actually received that moniker. Another one to release in names would be Mr. George Robert Twelves-Hughes, who waits until he's about 93 years of age and then publishes a manifesto detailing some 30 to 40 odd names in the back. And it was rumoured that upon the passing of the publisher of the Boston Gazette, Mr. Benjamin Eads, some 60 to 70 odd names were recovered.
Yes, at Abigail's Tea Room, you can get tea tasting, bring your teacup, or your tea platter for $16.50. They also have any drinks, all the drinks you want. Samuel Adams beer. They have scones, cranberry orange, chocolate chip. We got blueberry, cinnamon. You can get some cookies. The shot heard around the world, Lexington and Concord, 1775.
Look, and they sell Tea Lovers Devotional. So pretty. And then look at these little tea sets. Little basket, how pretty. Let me take the tag out. You could get your own little tea set. They're so precious. I like the pink one. I love it. They're so pretty. All of them. Look over here. This set. That is so pretty, Lovey. And the green. This is actually gorgeous, that set. They're all good. What was your favorite one, Lovey? This one's Lovey's favorite. This one smells like burning fire. I'll stir it for you. We gotta dump the tea. This tea we're not gonna dump. This was amazing. We couldn't film inside the museum, but it was amazing. Especially it was like Harry Potter with the frames. The frames would talk to you. All the